Good morning, student. This is Mrs. Karima speaking. Welcome back to school. Hopefully you are all doing well. So, regarding term 3, as you see on the board, in what we will learn, we have 6 lessons. The first one is called Plant Structure, Unit 5, Module 19, pages 513 to 522. This lesson obviously will be taken within 2 to 3 weeks. Okay? So, for every period, you're going to have a specific record that might help you to understand the lesson. Let's go to start our lesson. By the end of this lesson, every and each student should be able to solve the following question or the focus question. What are the structures and functions of plant cells and tissues? Okay? Before we go to any detail, let's start with the review, in which we will talk a little bit about what we took in term 1. Remember, in the lesson of cell organelles, we made by the end of the lesson a small or a quick comparison between 2 types of cells, animal cell and plant cell. Animal cell and plant cell, both of them, they are considered as the building blocks for all living things, as you know. And they both share all these shared organelles, such as mitochondria, which is providing energy, lysosomes, cell membrane that controls what enters and what leaves, the Golgi apparatus involved in protein synthesis, such as nucleus as well, that holds the genetic material and which is considered the most important organelle. We have other also parts that we already studied and we discussed in that lesson. Let's focus now what makes the plant cell different than the animal cell. As you see, these 3 labeling here, starting with the chloroplast, which is considered as the organelle that gives the green color for the plant cell. Remember, plant cells, they are considered as the building blocks for producers. All of you know that producers are able to make their own food through a process called photosynthesis. Plant cell also, they have cell wall and vacuole. The cell wall, obviously, you can expect that it is providing the support for the plants because they do not have skeleton, and the vacuole, which is used to store nutrients, extra water, waste, it depends to the cell need. Returning back to our class or lesson, let's start with the first part, which is about an introduction for plant cells. According to what is given here, you can identify a typical plant cell by the presence of a cell wall. And obviously this is what we already talked about, a large central, vacuole, and chloroplast. However, there are many different types of plant cells, each with one or more adaptation that enable it to carry out a specific function. For sure, more details we will see them later on, but let's analyze what is given here in this sentence. They are talking about the ability of plants to have different types of cells that help them to do different tasks. And this is due to the adaptation of these cells to the environment they are living in, to the conditions they might resist to help the plant to survive. Okay? Hence, 3 types of plant cells form most plant tissues. What are these 3 types? How do they look like? How they are different? What is the function of each one? This is what is summarized in the table below. As you see here in the table, we have 3 types of cells: parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. Those are the name of the 3 types of cells: parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. I do understand that these names, they seem to be a little bit weird, but you have to memorize them like they do. The pictures, unfortunately, here they are not clear. For this reason, I already prepared for you other pictures that might help you to understand how they look like. And later on, they talked about the function, the particular function for each type of these cells. Before we analyze this data or this chart, let's go back to what I already prepared for you. Watch with me, please. In this table, all the differences are summarized here. Starting with the parenchyma cells, They say that they are found in every soft part of the plant. Soft part such as what? Obviously, you are expecting or you are predicting it's the leaf, okay? They are considered as unspecialized cells. They do not appear as a particular type of cells yet, because this type of cells, once they will differentiate later on, they can give the different type of cells. Consists of a thin cell wall, and this already is related to the first part here. When I say it's a thin cell wall, it means it's giving the ability for the plant to be in the soft, as it is mentioned here. When I say soft or thin cell wall, expect that at this level the part of the plant is able to bend, okay? Cell wall is made up of cellulose. This is the major component. We already talked about cellulose. Intracellular space is present between cells. These cells, they are not connected directly to each other, but there is an intracellular space. It means they are not connected to each other, so you might find some space in between. Consists of living cells at maturity. Once they will be mature, they remain alive, and they help what? Photosynthesis, storage of food, gas exchange. This is the function actually that we will discuss from the table which is represented in your book. Let's go to the second type. Colonchima cells are found in petiole, leaves and young stem. For this type of cells, obviously, they already mentioned for you where do you find them exactly. In petiole, leaves and young stems. If you don't know exactly the part of plants, I advise you to open a picture on your computer or on your phone. You can check what are the parts of the plant so you can recognize exactly the parts, because later on we will take them in detail. They are considered as specialized cells. When I say specialized cells, it means they are already developed cells, not like the previous one. And they have their particular shape, their particular structure, and their particular function. Consist of an unequally thin cell wall. Depending to their location, the cell wall change in the thickness. Cell wall is made up of cellulose and pectin. This is the component in comparison to the first one, which is made only of cellulose. The second type, the colonchima cells, are made of cellulose and pectin, which is type of protein. No or little intracellular space is present between cells. Cells here, in this case, cells, they are very close to each other, or they are stick to each other. In case there is space, it's very small in comparison to the first type, which is called the parenchyma. And by the end, we have the last characteristic, which is consists of living cells at maturity. Okay? Now let's go to the third type, which is called sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma is found in the mature part of the plants, which means these parts, they will not grow up anymore. Okay? They are also specialized cells, consist of a thick and rigid cell wall, which means at this level, the plant is not able to bend. Cell wall is made up of waterproofing lignin, which is completely a different component in comparison to the first and second types of the cell types, yes. No intracellular space is present between cells. This is the opposite of the first one. Cells are stick to each other and there is no space in between. And the last part, it consists of dead cells at maturity, which means it is, or the cells, once they are mature, they will die and they will not be able to grow up anymore. Returning back to the table which is given already in our book, or before that, let's see the picture that I already take for you. Here, as you see, the parenchyma, okay? The magnification is not too much high. For this reason, you are not able to see the space between the cells, but though there are some places where you are able to see. So this is regarding the parenchyma. Colonchima are here, and the last time is sclerenchyma. Okay? Now returning back to the table, that do we have in our book? Let's talk a little bit about the function of each type. Parenchyma, they are used or helpful in the storage of the material that the plant is in need to, or the cells they are in need to. They help the process of photosynthesis, also the process of gas exchange. You know that plants, they take in carbon dioxide and produce or eliminate or get rid of oxygen. They help the protection. They are helpful in the protection of plants from being destroyed. Tissues repair and replacement also, since they are considered as not differentiated cells. Okay? For the collenchyma, the second type, it's helping in the support and transport of material. The last type, which is sclerenchyma, it is helping the support for surrounding tissues, provides flexibility for plants and tissues repair and replacement. Obviously, those are the three type cells that you might find in plants, and this is the function of each one of them. This is the first part of our lesson. Hopefully that you understand. It's easy. If you have any question, feel free to ask. We will be waiting your question. Thanks a lot and enjoy.